So students, in this video we will be talking about shutdown point and what is the meaning of shutdown point. This is the point where a firm always stop production or it will be closed down. So that is called shutdown point. Here you can see two diagrams I am using, and this is example of perfect competition market, and in case of monopoly market and monopolistic market, in both market we use this type of demand curve. So these are two situations. Here you can see losses are occurring because this price is per commodity revenue. This price is not enough to cover the per commodity cost. So your average cost is greater than your average revenue point. This is your average revenue point, this is your average cost point on equilibrium quantity. And how we find out equilibrium quantity? You know that we use two conditions, first order condition and second order condition. By using these conditions, I mean where marginal cost and marginal revenue both are cutting each other, we find this equilibrium quantity. And on this equilibrium quantity we compare average concepts, I mean average cost and average revenue. So this price is not enough to cover all the expenses of production of this product. So here question is that should this firm shut down? Similarly here also, this is the price, I mean per commodity revenue, but per commodity cost is more than this. So this gap is per commodity loss, and if you want to find out total loss, so we will multiply this with this, I mean area of this rectangle. So in both cases, let me share this area. These firms are getting losses. So should they shut down or continue their production? We will talk about this point today. To understand this term shutdown point, you need to know about this fact. Already we have discussed in cost curves topic. Your average cost is average variable cost plus average fixed cost. So this is average fixed cost which is decreasing continuously, you can see here, and this is your average variable cost. Let me tell you, there are some fixed factors, some are variable factor, and whatever expenses we are doing on fixed factors are fixed cost, and whatever expenses we are doing on variable factors like labor, raw material, electricity, etc., that is variable cost. So if we add these two costs, we will get average cost. I mean to say, difference between average variable cost and average cost, difference between these two costs is actually AFC, average fixed cost. We add these two diagrams, then we find out this. So you need to understand this fact that average variable cost plus average fixed cost is average cost. Means whatever is cost of production of a commodity, we can split this per commodity cost into two types of costs. One is variable cost, means now we are hiring labor or we are hiring capital, that is variable factors here, and fixed factors are like machines or you can say building. So depends upon whether you are investing one time money or you are hiring that on a daily basis. Okay, so if this fact is clear to you people, now you can understand the phenomena. See here, this is the diagram, and you can see average cost is more than average revenue point. So this is loss per commodity. This is price, I mean revenue per commodity, and this is cost per commodity, I mean average cost. So there is a gap between this. This price is not enough to cover these all expenses. So if we stop our production, what will be the loss? Now this is our total loss, but if we stop our production, our total loss will be this much. How? Because difference between average cost and average variable cost is average fixed cost. Already you have spent money on fixed factors like machines or building. So already you have spent. If you are not producing even a single commodity, still you have to bear that loss because already you have spent. So you may stop spending on variable factor like labor or raw material or electricity. So if you stop your production here, you can save this cost only, but this cost you will have to bear because this is average variable cost. You can see that this is average variable cost and this is average fixed cost, this difference. So if you continue your production, your loss will be this much only, but if you stop your production, your loss will be this much. Okay, so we will decide our this means we will continue or not, we will not continue our production will depend upon if this price is covering our variable expenses fully plus some portion of our fixed expenses also. We will continue our production. If situation is that this price is only covering average variable cost and not covering any part of fixed cost, in that case our loss is equal whether we continue production or we stop our production. Our loss is equal. I mean to say, if situation is like this, suppose price is here, this is the price, suppose P1 is the price, suppose. So this price is enough only to cover our variable expenses. We are covering our average variable cost and your loss is equal to your average fixed cost. So in this case, either you can continue or you can stop your production. Your loss is equal. This is called shutdown point. Similarly, in case of monopolistic competition market, in case of monopolistic competition market also you can see here you were having losses, so your per commodity cost is more and per commodity revenue is less. See this diagram again. This price is enough to cover your average variable cost. Here is your average variable cost, so it is covering this much of variable expenses and some portion of even fixed expenses. You can see here. So in case if you continue your production, your loss is this much, and if you stop your production, your loss will be this much. So you will continue your production. But if situation is like if your average variable cost is crossing from this point, in that case, suppose this is your average variable cost. This is your average variable cost, suppose. In that case, this price is covering only variable expenses. So in that case, you may continue or you may stop your production. Your losses are equal. So this is called shutdown point.